Hey, it's the Bet Las Vegas and Odyssey Sports. In this Friday at the Chelsea inside the Cosmopolitans, doors are going to open at 8:30. A show is going to start at 10 p.m. called One Dead Man Show. Late night show. You never know what's going to happen. Undertaker in Las Vegas. I cannot wait for this. And with all that being said, our next guest, I'm not sure how to properly introduce one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, other than saying, ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker is here. Good sir, how are you doing? And thank you so much for the time.
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, man.
No, of course. And look, I was excited when this got announced. It was a treat for us here in Las Vegas. And I wanted to ask you, as this is part of your transition into this next phase of your life, and of course, we're talking about retirement, which we're a sports station. We've been talking about Tom Brady retiring twice. There's still rumors of him coming back, still to this day. I want to know for you, it's interesting because, of course, on one part, you're letting go of wrestling, something that you've cared for and you've done for so many years. But then the other part of it is, to me, the way I see it, you had to say goodbye to the dead man part of your life. So basically, how has that transition been to get to this point?
It's been difficult. That character was such a obviously such a important part of my life and my career. Um, just being able, just being not able to perform again. That's my passion in my heart, in my mind, in my heart. There's nothing that I'd rather do is be in the ring performing. I mean, that's who I am, and that's what I did for 30 plus years. Even long before WWE. So it's been a difficult transition for me, but I understand that my time. I had a great run. My time is done, and it is time to do something different, and that's where the One Dead Man show comes in at. So as everyone is really, if they know me, they know that I didn't say much for those 30 plus years outside of the character. If it didn't end with rest in peace, you didn't hear much from me, right? So there, so now what we're doing with this One Dead Man show is it's an accumulation of a lot of things. I mean, you get kind of a career perspective. You get you know you get my thoughts on different things that have happened through the industry, things that have happened to me. Um, but you hear Mark Calloway's version of it, and not the Undertaker's version of it. So I think there's a obviously everyone knows that behind the scenes stuff, all the dirt and all that is what's hot, right? That's the stuff that people want to know. Um, I'm not out there burying anybody, but you get my uh, you get my perspective on these different stories that I share. Vegas, you never know what's going to happen in Vegas, right? I got a lot of history there. You never know who's going to show up, and you never know what I'm going to talk about. But I've got a couple stories that I'm working on that will probably we're going to probably blow some people's minds. Some of the things that I pulled back in the day, uh, but it's this has been a really cool transition because I'm still out there in front of my fan base. I'm giving them something new. It's putting me out there, but I tell people this all the time. I haven't woken up the next day sore one time. So I hadn't, take,
100%.
I, hadn't, I hadn't taken any bumps yet. So
And look, I'm going to tell people again, it's a 10 p.m. start time too. That is key. We never know what's going to happen inside the Chelsea at the
it
Cosmo.
is. Let me just say this because it kind of throws me off some. I'm new to this, right? I'm new to
Yeah.
pulling back the curtain, but this is a really kind of an adult uh, oriented show. I cuss, I carry on, uh, I interact. You never know. Like when I open the floor up, when I start answering questions from the audience, which is part of the show. You never know what's going to happen. It comes completely off the rails sometimes because you never know what people are going to ask you. But
Yeah.
and it's not Undertaker talking; it's Mark Calloway, and Mark Calloway ain't afraid to drop an F here and there. So just be cautious if you're planning on bringing your kids.
No, 100%. And look, even with you just talking about it, I could see the happiness in your face and the smile. So I have to ask you, when it comes to the One Dead Man show, when it comes to you being able to do the Last Ride documentary, how freeing has it been to finally be like, I wasn't allowed or I didn't talk for so long, and now I can finally tell these stories in my history?
Yeah, it's been cool, and it's been a struggle too, because I was notoriously the last of the kayfabers, right? I was the last to the protect the business. So that was so instilled in me and my character. My Mark Calloway character was to protect the business at all costs, even though 80%, 90% of the rest of the talent is like, hey, whatever. This is, WWE goes out of their way to tell you what we do. It was still that old school dinosaur in me is saying protect the business. So it was a struggle for me a lot of times to, there's still times where I'll be in the middle of a story, and then in the back of my head, I'm thinking about, where's this? Oh, I know where this story is going. Oh, so I have to come to grips with, all right, you're in it now. You're going to have to, you got to give it to them now. So there's still that inner protective sense in me, but it's coming down, and I don't pull any punches, and it usually comes out, and it's been. But to answer your question, it's been fun, really, to give people my perspectives and my thoughts on different things that they've never heard, and to let them know of some of the things that I've been through, my struggles. I mean, we cover all of this stuff in the show. Every show's different, but usually it comes up, and people look at my career and I think, wow, he's been so blessed, which I have been extremely blessed. But there's a lot of struggles. There was a lot of stumbles. There was a lot of things that had happened that that I had to learn from and move forward with. And it wasn't always just everything didn't always land in my lap. It was a struggle and a fight, and I get to share some of that with our audience.
And you talk about protecting the business. I don't think anyone has done it better than you. And for so many years, thankfully, social media wasn't around at the start. But,
Yeah,
in my head, I'm like, he can't go to a local soccer game. He can't go to a basketball game. Go to the park. Go get a coffee. Let me check out the movie. Let me walk around the mall just to get some fresh air. Like, and even I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, a couple fans ran up to Rey Mysterio at the airport. He's just trying to go home. They want him to sign stuff. They're trying to take pictures. He's hurrying up, putting his mask. Like, some people just
yeah.
don't care. And I want to know for you, how difficult was that, protecting the business and really caring about your craft and trying to make sure that it was amplified to the best of its abilities?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult, and you're 100% correct with social media. Uh, I'm a dinosaur. I hate social media. I do. I know I'm on it now. I
I
broke
love
down.
your TikTok. I love your TikTok though.
Well, I broke. I finally broke down a good friend of mine. He said, "Man," he said, "You're missing this. You're missing the boat. I'm telling you. Post wrestling, there's opportunities out there." And I was like, man, I don't need that. I don't care about all that. I listened to him, and I think in 2018 or something, I started social media. I hate it. I can't stand it, man. And I'm as if I'm by myself, I try to be as accommodating as I can to my fans. Early on, even before all of that, but early on, I was always dressed in black, man. Even though I didn't have my Undertaker garb on, there was no doubt who I was, and I conducted myself in a way I projected like, dude, that dude is not friendly. So that I tried to minimize the interactions early on. Now, if a kid comes up to me and said, "Mr. Undertaker, can I have your autograph?" I would like, I'd begrudgingly, I would do it. Nowadays, it's a lot different. I mean, obviously, I've peeled the curtain back, and as long as people are respectful and I try to accommodate people as best I can if I'm by myself. Now, you were talking about going to different places and sporting events and everything like that. Again, if it's me and my wife, because obviously she was in the business, she understands. Again, we're as accommodating as we can be. If my kids are around, don't don't ask, don't
Sure.
ask. And my kids play sports, and it becomes a thing every weekend. People will come up and, hey, can I have this? I was like, I appreciate you being a fan, but I'm not Undertaker. I'm dad this weekend, and hopefully you understand that. I said, this is about my kids. I've been on the road for all these years. I've missed everything. I'm not missing this. And I'd say 95% of the people really do understand that if you approach it that way. They're respectful and they understand. Occasionally you get somebody that, is just so
Yeah.
entitled that they feel like, you know, well, you're a dick, well,
Yeah.
you know what? I am. Then if you don't understand that, I guess I am. And you still got the jokers that are going to film you and take pictures and put it out. It sucks, but it comes with the territory, and you have to accept that. So it is what it is.
Yeah, there it is. And before we get in the speed round, just a couple quick questions before we get you out of here. One more time. One Dead Man Show this Friday, 10 p.m. at the Cosmopolitan, at the Chelsea inside the Cosmopolitan. Go get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. So I'm going to apologize for being all over the place for some of these questions, but I don't know if I'm going to get this opportunity again. So speed round, just give me your initial thoughts on some of these questions. You ready to do this?
Let's do this, man.
All right, let's go. Throughout the years, I know you've been asked constantly about the streak ending and should it have been Brock and when did you get hurt, this, that, and the third. The one thing that I don't see people talk about, in my opinion, in the history of live television, with a crowd of 70 to 80,000, it was the most shocking thing I've ever seen. You had 70,000 people that were in complete silence. And also some of the reactions from the people in the crowd was amazing. We don't agree on anything in this country. Everyone agreed that they were in shock. So when
Right,
you went back to see that match and see how people reacted, my man whose eyeballs almost popped out and his glasses were
right.
falling off, like seeing all these reactions, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool because in that moment, I mean, obviously, I know that I had an impact on our industry, but in that moment, when you have 70,000 people almost dead quiet, that means this is a major event within our industry. This is something that you'll never see again, and all of that's playing into my mind. It's like, and it was honestly, it was so humbling because again, there was the guy, there were people crying and there were people, like the guy with the huge eye. That was just 100% honest emotion right there. And to know that people are that invested in what you do and what you've done through your body of work, it's really cool.
Every creed and color and belief was in shock. Like I said, the one thing we could all agree on. I also want to say I was upset watching it. I actually didn't go to school the next day in college. I just need to admit that. Looking back at that, I made the right decision. Screw school. Similarly, I want to ask you too. You lose to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and the next night on Raw, Roman Reigns goes out there and another one of these moments that like is incredible to see because the man got booed for 10 straight minutes mercifully. I want to know, were you in the arena? Were you watching live? What'd you think of that?
No, I was gone, man. I was on my way back to Texas. I was going back home to repack and then head to New York, and get my hip fixed. I was thoroughly, I was obviously, if you've watched The Last Ride, you know how disappointed I was in my performance, and felt, I always wished that I could have done better for him in that moment. It was a physical issue, and I was getting what I could out of my body at the time. But again, that's one of those moments like, it's so cool because you realize, and I'd already been beaten once. The streak had already been, and then there's still that love for that character, and it's really cool now, especially to see where Roman has come, how far that he's come, and now he's so in touch with his character, and he's the face of the company, and he's been on this incredible run. So it's good that he's been able to go from 10 minutes of straight booze to being world champion for I don't even know how many days, over 800 days now. And to be, to figure in and be in part of that, and being able to, whatever little part that I did, it's cool to see where he's taken that.
And our last one here to wrap this up. This one is, I don't even know if you're aware. It's a viral moment of yours from the Last Ride documentary. It's really only 4 or 5 seconds. You're just throwing away a piece of trash into the garbage can.
I don't think it takes too big a brain surgeon to figure out what's going to happen, Kobe.
And you yell out Kobe like everyone does in the world. So I got to ask you, because I love basketball as much as I love wrestling, was there ever any interaction or anything between Kobe Bryant before he passed away?
Never, not once. I always loved his mindset, man. He was a grinder, and he was always, I always tell people, never be content, right? Just don't ever be satisfied. And he was never satisfied with anything that he did. And I just loved it. And then what he expected from his teammates and what he poured into the Lakers. And man, he was just what I embody a professional athlete to be. And he was just a dog, man. And I just appreciate that in people that won't accept defeat. And when you do get a setback, to grow from it and come back stronger. And I always felt that about him. And that was just an honest little deal, dude. It was just like, Kobe, right? I made it too.
You did make it. Okay, there you go. There we go to clarify. Hey, man, listen, before we get you out of here, I'm a big proponent of giving roses. And growing up, I loved wrestling. I kind of went away from it. By a whim, I bought WrestleMania 25, and because of you and Shawn Michaels, I fell in love with wrestling again. And still to this day, here we are. So thank you so much for everything you've done for the business. And again, this Friday at the Chelsea inside the Cosmopolitan, go check this out. One Dead Man Show starts at 10 p.m. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Undertaker, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time. And we're gonna tear it up in Las Vegas, man.